Hi everybody, my name is Dr.Aisan Ghaemian. I am chartered psychologist and CBT therapist and working with the NHS organization in United Kingdom. So today I really want to discuss with you about the COVID-19 outbreak and all of the kind of the mental health difficulties which brought for us, especially for more about the people who are already living with level of anxiety. So some of you guys, you reached me already about learning how we can actually manage this anxiety. And I thought that would be really helpful to share with you some tips and techniques. So hopefully you find it helpful. So before we start, I'm going to give you some definition for anxiety. So anxiety is just the emotional response to the perceived threat, so it may or may not happen in the future. So it's not dangerous, it's not wrong. So all of us, we do feel anxious to some extent. So however, if this level of anxiety is going to be excessive, then it tends to be a problem. So if does it affect your life and if it just affect your day-to-day activities, then it tends to be a problem for many of people. So I guess there's so many techniques we can discuss about that. So one of the really important one, just understanding about what can actually we do for the anxiety. So and we have two types of worry. So I really would like to invite you to kind of to noticing like, can you actually able to do something? So we have got one practical worry, which is imagine if you have a deadline and if you want to submit a project for your manager, maybe by the next month, obviously your anxiety is going to be top of the roof and is completely understandable. So then we can actually sit down together and just make some plan and do some problem solving techniques, and it's kind of helping you to go through it, and then you have an action plan to put in place. So that is a kind of practical worry. You can actually come up with a plan. However, we have a different type of worry, which is a hypothetical worry, so which is beyond your capability. So I'm always asking my clients, or nowadays they're asking me like, what can we do? Because as you know, there's so many of people like who just lost their job, so who get redundant or got really less salary. There's so much with pregnant women, they are really feeling anxious, like they don't know what's going to happen with their delivery. So I always just ask one simple question like, can you just fix it? Can you just fix it? They say no. Or have you caused this problem? They just say no. So then I'm going to ask the same question from you guys, like, can you just fix the situation? Have you caused this problem? Which the answer is probably going to be no. So that means we need to let it go. So when we say let it go, it's not going to happen just like this. There's so much techniques about it, but I'm going to discuss with you the one main technique. It's more about the accepting, but acknowledging it, and just understanding and staying with the level of uncertainty and just believing in yourself, like you cannot change the situation, but you're gonna accept it. So when we're saying accept it, it doesn't mean like you need to dwell on that. But because when you're dwelling on that, you're kind of getting hooked on those negativity or those vicious cycle. And what we really want you to kind of unhook yourself to come off from that cycle. So I'm going to give you a really real example, which I'm sure has happened for you guys many times. So imagine when you receive a gift from your friends, so you kind of accept it. So it didn't mean to you like you're going to use it or not. So some of you guys maybe just kept the gift or you just chucked it in the bin. But at that time, you kind of accept that gift from the friend. So this is something we kind of call it like accepting it, acknowledging that worry, but not dwelling on that. It doesn't mean like you need to kind of start worrying about that. By worrying a lot, it doesn't mean you're gonna help yourself, because what we know as a psychologist, like you can live with that level of uncertainty because your body automatically gonna help yourself to come out of that. But because we always have a fear of that, we don't want to live with that situation. And I'm sure this happened to you guys many of times. Like if you look back to your life, I'm sure you had this moment like, when was the last time you kind of felt really anxious? Maybe you kind of come off from an interview and you were waiting for the time to see what was the result. Or maybe you made a dinner and you were just waiting to see if the food is nice or not. So there was so much times probably you felt anxious, and without even you noticing that, you were kind of able to manage that anxiety. But I'm really inviting you to get a pen and paper and just write those moments for you, just noticing like how much you were able to adapt yourself to that level of uncertainty. But probably this time you are able to cope well as well, because this is going to help you. Is going to help you to build up your confidence and your resilience, because you have a solid evidence like yes, you were able to manage that anxiety and you know how to cope with it, but now this time you are able to cope with it again. And then secondly, it's going to give you a sense of control, because you have a valid confirmation of your experience. So this is going to help you to kind of understand like you can live with a level of uncertainty, but looking back to your evidence, when was the last time you achieved that one? So there is another kind of the question some of you guys had from me, like about these. This is especially more about people who are constantly need to check the news headlines and just to know what's been happening in the news, because they believe like if they check the news headlines and just with social media, they can actually manage their worry. But what we know, like with the top research psychologists, that they're showing us like the more you're checking the news, the more you're gonna feel anxious. So I'm gonna give you a little experiment, and I really invite you to do this little experiment for me. So you can maybe just when waking up in the morning, just check up the news, especially for those people that would love checking the news and all day every day. So it's okay, just check it for the whole of the day. But at the end of the day, just have that kind of couple of minutes for yourself to reflect on yourself. So you can just ask yourself like, all the news and social media, all of this which I checked it today, which I'm sure is not avoidable, it's completely understandable, all of them, did they really change my behavior? Did they have any impact on my action? The answer is probably going to be no. Was that necessary for me to put myself to that much pressure of anxiety? The answer is probably going to be no. So maybe you could have just spent maximum 10 minutes of your time of the day just getting some update from the news, but you could have done something differently for yourself for that period of day. You could have actually done something nice probably for yourself. So so much of my clients these days, they try to catch up with things maybe they were not able to do it before, maybe by reading, writing articles, by drawing, or by just catching up with the family with a FaceTime. So nowadays, thanks to technology, we are so blessed to having this technology. And so maybe it's really helpful for you guys to look back to your value. What do you care about? What is important for you guys? It's really important to get a pen and paper and just write it down for yourself. What do you want to be known in 20 years' time? So can you answer it? Just get on paper and just write it down for yourself. Some of you guys, you might be saying, I want to be known as a good friend. I just want to be known as a good person, so just helpful person for my community. Right, this is a great time for you now. You can just do something for your neighborhood, or just reach out people just to see how many elderly people living in your community. How can you be helpful for them? Some of you guys maybe you just want to kind of come up with a spirituality plan. Just connect with the nature. There's so much activity you can actually do during these days, in the lockdown days. Just fill up those kind of times which you can actually spend for yourself to get connected with your value, just to see what you care about, what is important for you in a couple of years time. Just you can start to do it. And then lastly, I really want to kind of introduce the kindness to yourself. Try to be compassionate toward yourself. Try to be yourself, and don't worry about the judgments. So I'm sure these days is so much going on with this COVID-19 outbreak, and most of the people, they might be feeling judgmental because of the depression and anxiety. And what we know as a psychologist, like when your daily routines change, is completely understandable. It just brings you so much anxiety, low mood, depression. All of them is completely normal. So it's really understandable for yourself, but try to be compassionate toward yourself. Try to be kind to yourself, and just know that it is okay for not being okay. So don't worry about that. So hopefully we're gonna come out of this crisis very soon, and just try to stay positive. Just don't worry about the value. So just don't forget, it's okay for not being okay. Thank you so much. See you soon.